Welcome to the coffee break with Hebb&Griff.
Thank you.
Today we're joined by Steph.
Hi, Steph.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Steph?
I am Steph Harper. Could go on forever. Mum of 3, wife, and I'm Stephanie Kate Bridal Couture.
Yeah.
I make wedding dresses.
So we go back quite a long way, but all of us really,
All of
because
us.
you're from Brig, and we know your family. And
Primary school.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Makes us sound really old now.
it doesn't.
We're going to feel really
We'll not
old
say how
right
long
now.
ago that was.
No.
But one thing that really links us is that probably the first major video that we shot was for you and your bridal.
I still watch it,
Sure.
you know. It's one of my
Yeah.
favourites, yeah.
It's still one of the favourite, our
Yeah.
best pieces of work.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so good because, like, on that, I was thinking about wearing that dress today, actually. I was thinking about you guys. Because I knew I was pregnant with Aoife in that video, but no one else knew.
Oh, right,
really?
yeah.
And I was constantly thinking, like, oh my God, shall I breathe in? Shall I breathe in? Is anyone going to notice? And I look back now, I think, yeah, like anyone else was going to notice. There was a baby
We
in
had
there.
no
but
idea. Yeah.
It was lovely. So I, like, always have that forever.
Yeah.
But,
It's
yeah,
such a
my
good-
old studio. And
Yeah.
It's the first time I've actually accepted listening to my voice back.
Right.
Oh, really?
Because, yeah, I'm the queen of voice notes, as all my friends and brides know now. Like, it's the only way I can get anything done.
Yeah.
But listening back to your own voice, so many people can't do it. And
Oh, no,
after
it's
you've
weird.
done that, and obviously you did the voiceover of our interview afterwards, that made me accept that is how I sounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was ace. I loved it. Thank
No,
you.
yeah. No, it's good, and like you say, it's still one of our favourite videos, and it's quite meaningful for us as well, because it's funny in a way, because Hebb&Griff probably wouldn't exist without it. Like, it was a real starting
Yeah,
point
it
for
was a push in the direction that we
You
needed.
needed to go.
doing
Well,
that.
it's easy for the rest of us on the sideline to see how good you are. I have to remember not to swear. Try not
Oh,
to
you can swear.
You
Go
can
for
swear.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go. To see how good you are when you don't realise it yourself. And I sound hypocritical because everyone's been saying that to me, especially this last week. But you guys had no idea how good you are. So it's all right for me and the rest of us sitting there saying, you can do it, you can do it. Make the break, go self-employed. It is hard, but these are the things you need to know. As long as you can get around those things, you be self-motivated. Accept that your finances are never going to be the same. And make sure that you're on top of that. So the months where you do have your income against the months where you don't have much income, you balance yourself out throughout the year.
Yeah.
Having that self-control, being a control freak, basically. As long as you can learn to do that, yeah, check. That's my biggest attribute. Control freak, check. I think it's a positive, not a negative. But until you do it yourself, then you just don't know. And as soon as you did it, you flew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was ace.
Yeah. It made such
Big
a
time.
difference. How long have you been self-employed
Nearly
now?
13 years.
Really?
Wow.
That sounds really weird because I still feel the same way I did when I was first trying to start it up and designing my logo in my little flat in Nottingham after I'd graduated. And I've still got the same logo. I haven't changed it.
Oh, right.
I wanted to keep it the whole time. I
Yeah,
haven't, like
yeah.
some people switch it up and, improve it over the years, but I haven't wanted to. I still feel the same way about what I do, about myself, not about what I do. My skills have changed and have improved over the years because you do. You're constantly
yeah.
learning. You're constantly evolving. But mentally, I still feel the same way as that girl 13
Yeah.
years ago.
Oh, like imposter syndrome kind of situation.
Yeah, like, oh, this can't be real. I remember when the first bride messaged me, and she'd got my details from my big sister's best friend, Lizzie, who lived in Manchester. Massive thanks to Lizzie. She's just got married herself as well. Congratulations, really amazing.
Congrats.
And yeah, she got in touch with her and said, I'm looking for someone to have a dress, make my dress. She wanted a gold wedding dress. And
gold one?
Yeah,
Wow.
you just don't have, they didn't
No.
have that then. And she'd seen my work from my end of year university piece and said, oh, do you think that girl would, be interested? So she passed her my details.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking when she messaged me, like, oh my God, I've made loads of outfits and I'm obsessed with making things, but I've never actually had one go down an aisle before.
Yeah.
This is so much pressure.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I'm really confident I make my own patterns and I'm so confident with my scissors and my fabric and in myself. But before I cut that first dress out, I think I I packed it away 3 or 4 times, and then I got it back out, and I checked and triple checked everything so much more. Whereas now, as my brides will tell you, I'll just be chattering away to them, get my scissors, start doing whatever I need to do. And I don't have to think about it so much. It's just second nature. But it was the scariest thing, but it was amazing. And then I made her mum's dress.
Oh, wow.
I made her mum's outfit
brilliant.
to go to the wedding as well. And then it just tripped. So I didn't mean to go. I didn't mean to be self-employed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then she then knew somebody else in Manchester who was also looking for something different. And she was really tall. And they do now, but it was hard for, taller girls to have a wedding dress that would fit them because they were made for certain lengths.
Right.
You can't add fabric. You can take it away. So now they're all made ridiculously long. So everyone has to have them altered.
Right.
Which is great for me because I alter wedding dresses too. So
Gives you more, yeah.
It's great for me and I love it.
Yeah.
But she didn't have that opportunity. So then I made Jane's dress and then it just kind of tripped into Stephanie Kate, and I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing.
Right. Was you in full-time work at the time, or was you kind of...
I just graduated.
Oh, right. So you was in a situation where it was...
I had no money.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was you may as well do it. So it'd been the double dip recession when I graduated. Oh my God, what year was that? Was it 2010? Which feels like yesterday. And I was working in a bridal shop in Nottingham for a lady, and I wanted to make stuff there. And it just didn't work out. And I remember ringing my mum and I was really upset. And she said, why don't you come home? Why don't you come home and do it? My grandma had passed away and she'd left me £1,000. So I used that £1,000 to start buying fabric.
Right.
So I bought some basics that I knew I'd need. My mum then really kindly had a mannequin made for me, which they don't actually normally do, a Kinnet and Linsell mannequin. Which
Still got that, right?
I've still got it, yeah.
Still the same one?
I always remember.
Yeah, Sybil, named after my grandma.
Oh, really?
So I still use her. So I use her every day for everything.
Right.
My mum had that made for me, and the rest's history.
Wow.
It's amazing how it
weird.
all works out sometimes, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
I think we resonate quite a lot with that story because we started doing this a bit by accident, I guess, and it ended up working out in no small part thanks to you. Do you think you could go back to working for somebody else now, or do you think...
No.
Yeah.
No, I'd say to people, I never had a proper job. I always worked... it was back in the day when it was cash in hand, you know.
Right,
and, you know, and it was a few hours here, a few hours there. It was never sustainable if you had like a home or a family, especially in days now. But I've never had a proper job. So I have no idea what payday feels like.
You've not really had the real experience of having an awful manager. Or
or working with people.
It's bad.
I would get fired. I would get fired in a heartbeat for talking. My mum will tell you all of my reports when I was a child is that Stephanie has come here for the social life, not to learn. I think that was actually the words written in one of the reports from primary school. I don't think it was Miss Starkey. It might be Miss Starkey, bless her. Do
you agree with that?
100%. Yeah, 100%. If I didn't sew, I think if I do talking for a living, that would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. No, not because I don't like the sound of my own voice. I've established that already, but I love meeting people.
Yeah.
I love chatting.
That's why your job's perfect, really.
It is perfect. And I don't
you're
call
always
it a job.
meeting new people. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I put it in inverted commas when people talk about it.
Yeah. I think that's
your
the
baby.
same with this, really. It's not...
Yeah, we described it as it's not a job, it's just something we enjoy doing, really.
It's a hobby that
It's a paid hobby.
pays for itself. Yeah, that's what I'd say. It's a good job I'm married to Lewis because he keeps the roof over our head. I don't pay myself.
Right.
So, I kind of just exist. But I'm a really cheap wife. I don't have my nails done. I don't have my hair done. I cut my own fringe, which a lot of people notice. I cut Aoife's fringe, which a lot of people notice. It's my 4-year-old daughter, poor kid. But I'm a really cheap wife, and I think when you're self-employed, you understand the value of a pound.
Yeah, definitely.
You respect where that's come from. You second guess yourself and like what you're worth, and I'm still doing that, and I need to stop doing that. Because I hear from everybody else. I hear from other brides, but my bespoke clients after the wedding say, by the way, my dress was too cheap.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you did it too. You could have added, X amount on.
Oh, so
and
I
I
was
don't.
expecting more, yeah.
Yeah, they do expect more. I have a lot of clients come up from London because it's cheaper for them to travel to me and have me make them a bespoke dress than it is for them to stay in London and get one.
Right, yeah. That doesn't surprise me though, because
Yeah.
London
You should have
is
London
just
prices.
ridiculous.
Yeah, London prices.
Yeah.
And isn't
Yeah.
North Lincolnshire the cheapest place to live in the whole of the UK?
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And,
It's,
like,
it's the
house
cheapest
prices.
place for businesses to come. That's why you get a lot of manufacturing businesses
Up
around here in Scunthorpe. Yeah,
I did wonder.
yeah,
Mm.
Oh.
yeah. But I mean, you're very successful, I would say.
I love you, Alex. I don't feel it. Again, it's imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I don't need to advertise anymore.
Yeah,
Maybe that's where I can say, okay, I'm there now.
Yeah.
Because I always looked at other people and thought, I can't wait to be able to get to that point where I don't have to advertise. I choose to go to one wedding fair. It's on twice a year, but I choose to do that every year. I mean, I've not done it for the last year and a half because I've had twins, which I'll move on to a later date. My life is shot to put now. But yeah, I choose to do those two so that I meet new people every year. I don't have to do them. I have enough people contacting me, coming to me. I mean, this year I've had to turn people away, and I hated doing that.
Right.
Because I just couldn't, I was just too busy. And I obviously have these two tiny babies and Aoife to look after. I mean, I have been ridiculously busy. It's been a crazy year. Crazy. I don't know if I should touch on that. I'll never shut up. But yeah, no, I'm very lucky. Successful.
What do you define?
take it.
What do you define success as?
Yeah, if you don't feel successful already,
Yeah.
then where is success for you?
I don't know. I feel like
Because you're there.
as soon as you admit to yourself that you're good or that you're worth this or you're
Yeah.
worth that, you're on that cusp of getting cocky or taking it
depends how you
for
are with
granted.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I've always just presumed
You can be
everyone can do what I do.
confident
Yeah.
in-
I'm very confident.
Yeah, but then like
my
past that
work.
is where you can be like cocky.
Yeah.
Yeah. and I've never felt like that.
Yeah.
Ever. I've
Yeah.
always been
Never.
Never, no. I've always been, I'm confident in myself now,
Yeah.
but I'm, oh my God, how old am I? What, 36 now?
Does that not help?
That does help. That did help.
Let's talk about
Let's
that.
talk
But
about
yeah, so last,
Hold it up for the camera.
Last
Yeah,
Wednesday,
show the cameras what you got.
where's my camera? Here.
That
Last
so what is that?
Wednesday, and again, that was super imposter syndrome. My bride, Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Just wait till you're in front of the mic. Yeah. So.
My bride, Sarah, love you, darling. She nominated me this year for the 2025 Wedding Industry Awards, or TWIA as we like to call it. And
Did you know that she'd nominated
I
you?
got an email from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a message from them when someone's nominated you. And I was umming and ahhing whether to, continue with the process. And I left it because I was so
that in
busy.
itself, like
It was
getting a
lovely.
nomination,
It was
that
so
must feel
nice.
amazing.
And I did message her and I was like, oh my God, I love you, thank you. And she said, do it. Do it. So there was one night where we'd got the boys to sleep and I just went, sod it. I'll do it. So I sat and I filled it all in. And because I did the Wedding Industry Awards, was it 2016? I think 2019 and 2020.
Yeah.
I think this is my fourth one. And again, I was a very different person then. I wasn't a mother then. That's changed me massively. But yeah, so I went last week with my husband Lewis, which he's never done anything like that with me before. Two of our girlfriends, Lacey and Jess, they came and had all my children, put them all to bed, and they stayed till midnight until I got back. They have children of their own.
All right.
Oh, wow.
Massive. They are. I couldn't be doing my life without them at the moment. They're godsend, friends and family, best thing in the world. And so we went, and I was against 8 other seamstresses. So it's the first of its category. They had Designer of the Year before, and then they removed that, and then they brought in this year Seamstress
Right.
or Tailor of the Year, which is why Sarah was able to vote for me. So did that, got there. There was 8 others in the East Midlands category.
8, right.
8 others, so 8 of us, and there was never that many before. So I was
Right.
like, there are higher chances of me naturally conceiving twins again because I'm over 35. FYI for those women, just in case you didn't know, over the age of 35, you have high chances of conceiving twins naturally. There's
Really?
a high chance of me, yeah.
I didn't know.
There's a bigger chance of me doing that again now that I have them and I'm the age I am than it was for me winning these awards. So 1 in 6 to have another set of twins, and it was 1 in 8 for this. And so they had, they started our category and they had 2 highly commended awards because there were so many of us and everyone was so good. And the first seamstress was called, and she looked gorgeous in powder blue. And I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. And then the second one was called, also dressed in powder blue. I was like, I should have worn powder blue. There was a theme going here. She looked gorgeous. And I stood there and I thought to myself, and Lewis was stood behind me and he was filming and I didn't realise. I thought, okay, well, that's 1 in 6 now. It's 1 in 6 chances. I've either got nothing or I've got this. And then it was, I can feel it again actually in my body. It's a really weird, like, out-of-body experience. I feel my heart going. And then, he said my name and I was like, no way.
Amazing.
Like, no way. I think even then I was like, what the hell?
Don't believe
And I was really
yeah.
quick to get on stage. Like, I guess I didn't process it. I move at a ridiculous pace in life now.
Yeah.
I literally run. Like, one of my friends came over to help me one day and I was explaining to her what I have to do now to get stuff done. Now I've got the boys. And she was like, oh no, you actually do run, like, around your house to get stuff done. Like, the faster I move physically, the more stuff I can get done. And like the other morning
So everything's like a race.
It's like I'm on speed and I can't have caffeine. So I don't know how I'm doing life, but if I don't do it that way, I don't get everything done. And if I don't get everything done, I don't feel like I've achieved anything. So I'm my own worst enemy. I'm my own biggest critic. So it's the same in my work life as it is with my home life. I think my work life's a little bit of a slower paced. It's much more enjoyable. I'm obsessed with it. I love it.
Yeah.
I get withdrawals. I get upset. I get a bit nasty if I don't have time to go up and do some sewing.
Right.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
We'll not keep you too long
been
then.
hard. I'm going home to babies. I won't be able to go home and sew. That would be lovely. Unless they both sleep. If we could just send some sleeping vibes to those two who don't sleep. One of them sleeps, the other one doesn't sleep. But this year I think has taught me the most. And I think I feel, and as well as having Aoife, the most proud of myself. And I don't use the P word very often. I do for everybody else. I can push you all and show you all and tell you all how good you are and push you to do the things that I know that you're going to succeed at. But when it's you, it's so difficult to look and see yourself doing it and be like,
you
no,
should use
actually.
it more though, because what you've done, you should be massively proud of.
13 years as well is no easy feat. Like, that's a long time to be doing it.
Being
And
self-employed.
doing it yourself as well. Like, a lot of people, they build a team and they grow the team and they build a business, grow the business. I think you've stuck to your guns and you kept it yourself, and that's part of why it works so well, because
Agreed.
I don't think it needs to be anything
Do my
more
own
than
accounts.
that. Yeah.
I hate
Yeah.
them. I was doing them last week, actually. Again, I don't know if that's because I'm a massive control freak. I've had people ask about, coming to work for me. But, I mean, I don't even pay myself. Anything that I earn, it goes to my babies. It goes into the house. It goes to living. But, am I strapped? Is that all right? Or is it me?
I've dropped a bit.
No, I don't. Yeah, it is a weird one. So, like, having anybody else come and work for me, I'm not in control of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I work really fast, and I'm super confident in what I do. I know I'm really
You trust
good.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's important. Like, we've taken somebody on part time, and it has been a process for me, especially. I think Ollie's probably adjusted to it a bit better than me, but I've had to learn to trust somebody else to do.
Yeah, or let go.
to
At
do
your
the stuff that we
standard
do.
as well.
Yeah.
Like, you can train them to your standard, but I don't have time for that. And that sounds dreadful. I would love to teach. I think maybe one day when I'm done doing
that's good,
the wedding dresses, I would love to be able to teach. I mean, I'll start with Aoife. I don't know if she's got the patience yet, but she's just as obsessed with it as I am. But I've had people say to me in the past that I should either teach or once a therapist that I saw said that I should be a therapist because of the talking thing and kind of being an empath. And I like to make people happy.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
So for me, being self-employed,
You're in the right job for it. Really.
it's the right job. I see all these people so happy.
Yeah.
It's something that I have been able to do for them, and it gives me that endorphin. It gives me that rush and that happiness.
Yeah. How many weddings do you get to go to?
I did used to go to a lot. I don't go to as many now, mainly because of the kids.
Yeah.
But I get invited to lots of evening dues. But again, since having the children, I either go on my own for a couple of hours and then head home for the night feeds.
Is that like normal, or is it because you end up becoming such good friends with all the brides that you get?
I think it's that. So I have got a little sign up. It's on my stairs now, actually, because my room's had to shrink in size since having the boys. But I've got a sign that says, "Enter as strangers, leave as friends."
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And every bride I meet, even the girls that I do alterations for, so I'm with them on a much smaller scale, not as much time. I feel like I know them already.
Yeah.
And I like to hear about who they are, about their partners, about, what they do or what the kids are like. And,
What's the line you read to me earlier?
oh, which
It's
one?
about forcing yourself to
Oh, yeah. Forcing them to be my friends. Yeah, they don't have a choice. They're forced to be my friends. But yeah, they're all just lovely. And I get the lovely part from everybody as well. And I encourage the bridezillas in them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is the only time you're going to get to do it.
Yeah.
So be a diva.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you're married, it's a massive come down. No disrespect to the husbands, and once the wedding's done, it's such a build up.
Yeah.
That afterwards, I do prep them. I even had it, and I was going back into wedding world.
blues. Yeah.
Yeah, I cut all my hair off.
Oh.
I had really, really long hair when I married Lewis, and then literally a couple of months later, I was like chopped all my hair off and started planning a baby. So
Right.
yeah.
Do you think it's made a difference in like the relationships that you build by moving your studio from the physical space that you had on Brig High Street to your home? And like, what was like some of the decisions behind doing that?
That's a really good question, and yes is the answer. I loved having my studio in Brig.
It was really sweet.
I loved it. And I was next to one of my oldest and greatest friends, Vicky. She had a studio next door, Vicky Gray Photography.
Was you anywhere before that, or was that your first?
No, always worked from home before that.
Right.
So I had a 3-story house before that and worked at the top.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was way pre-COVID. And then I made the break because I've always wanted a premises.
Yeah.
And did that. And of course, it's a lot of money. It costs a lot to then do that. And I didn't want my brides to then have to pay. So I didn't really adjust my prices.
Right.
It kind of had more of an impact on me. But we got through COVID, Vicky and I, we kept the premises. And then it was only because I had Aoife. I became a mummy.
Yeah.
And then appointments became in the evenings. So it just seemed silly. And I came home one day, I think it was like a year I had it after having Aoife's, and Vicky had then fallen pregnant, and she felt the same. Maybe we should let it go, because it was easier for me to stay at home when my baby was in bed downstairs. My husband was there. She was boob fed, so it's not like I could be away from her for very long.
Right.
To then go and see my brides, and then the sooner they had come in and left, the sooner I could get up there and stitch.
Right.
Instead of driving 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it was, to Brig, turning everything on, getting the heaters on, getting the kettle on, then packing it all away again to drive home again, to then set up shop once you get back. So
it was quite a waste of time, really, when you knew that doing it at home would be so much.
And
more
even
beneficial.
now, like, minutes matter, mainly when you're not sleeping. But again, riding that train, minutes matter. So those minutes were wasted to me. Like traveling was wasted. I mean, I would leave clients voice notes, and I would generally eat, which is what I do now. I don't have time to eat because of the twins. So when I'm driving places, I've got an automatic now. I drive a bus now. Did you know that?
No.
I've got a transporter.
Oh, no, I think I'm
a transporter driver. I had to let go of my beautiful Tiguan. That was the hardest thing ever because my kids won't fit in it. But it's an automatic. So if I don't eat whilst I'm driving, I don't eat.
Oh, no.
So, and that's what I would do when I was going to and from the studio. So I spoke to Lewis and I said, how would you feel about me moving the studio back home? We'd moved house. It was a bigger house. And he said, yeah, okay, we'll forfeit the living room. We had a little back room. So I did that, and I worked from one of the bigger upstairs bedrooms, and it worked so well. I loved it.
Right.
then I fell pregnant with the boys. And obviously we wanted one baby. We wanted one extra child. And then a few weeks in, I was really sick. And Aoife said to me, Mummy, are you really poorly because there's 2 babies in your tummy? On the way to the doctor's surgery to get some drugs. And I was like, oh no, sweetheart, like you're going to be a big sister, but we're just having one baby. And she said, no, Mummy, there's 2.
Really?
Wow, really?
Yeah, I think I was about 5 or 6 weeks. So I voice noted my friend, and she said, let's book you a private scan. Like, this is ridiculous. You're so ill. Yeah. Either it's not feasible, it's a pregnancy that you're going to have to terminate, or something's not quite right. This is not normal. So we went, and yeah, there they were. Twins.
Wow. That's a bit spooky. I'm a bit scared of Aoife now.
Yeah, I'm super scared. I keep asking her for the lottery numbers. You know when you go into B&M and the girls say, would you like a lottery ticket for this year? I always turn to her and go, babe, do I want one? And she goes, no, Mummy, not tonight.
Not tonight.
And the day she says, yeah, let's do it, I'm like, come on. But no, she's not giving us those yet. And she has called other pregnancies. My friend Jess, when I met her buying the double pushchair, and she went, Mummy, this lady's having a baby.
She's a psychic.
Yeah, and I was like, no, sweetheart, you don't just say that to people. And she was like, oh no, I am. I'm 6 weeks pregnant. I was like, okay. So yeah, I think Aoife and I are like witches in a different world.
Oh yeah,
100%.
The proof's there.
The proof's there. The proof is there. So, but she said I'm having triplet girls next. So I think we should really cap it at 3 kids. Yeah. Can you imagine? She said there would be girls, which would be lovely, but I can't imagine another 3 of me, because arguing with Aoife on the daily is like stressful enough, because she is literally, I have birthed myself. I now know what my mum went through. She's amazing. She's hilarious, but man, it's hard. Yeah, she's crackers. But it's a question I asked my brides. How did they feel about moving from this massive studio where you could walk around in your wedding dress and then get back on the podium with all this room for all these people to come and see you, to coming to my home and essentially being in my living room? Because I felt it was a massive step back, and I was very critical of myself. And they all said they preferred it.
Right.
And I was like, they said, one bride in particular said, I know it sounds silly and I know we are in your home, but it feels more homely, and they felt less pressure on them. So a lot of brides feel really conscious when they go into wedding dress shops, especially when there's other brides in there trying dresses on. You know, they're in the cubicle next to you. It feels really impersonal. Yeah. And I think that's maybe why I like to make the girls that come into me, whether they're bespoke or whether they're alterations, feel like they're the only person that I've ever done this for. I want them to they've got my undivided attention for however long they need me for. Come back as many times as you want. Nothing is a problem. I always say yes, and then I work out the logistics later, because if it's made of fabric, I can generally sort it, do it, change it, make it perfect. But yeah, they preferred it. So as soon as I heard that, I chilled out a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
And then we had the decision to whether we move house or whether we use savings that Lewis had to amend the house that we live in, so that the boys could have a bedroom, and we got a living room back. So now I have a studio on the top floor of my house.
Yeah,
right.
As I used to. I've gone full circle.
Yeah.
I've not been since.
You need to come. You need to come over. You all need to come over. I miss you all. Life's just, as you know, when you become parents, it's a completely different life.
Yeah.
Completely different life. And as long as everyone just accepts that is how it is, you just embrace it, because time is going way too fast. What do they say?
The thing is, you've got no other choice but to accept it. So you need to just
enjoy it,
and
just try and be present.
Such a joy.
It is. I mean, it's the hardest. Everyone says, don't they? It's the hardest job in the world, but it's the most rewarding.
Yeah, it's been really interesting for me. I don't speak for all. I imagine it's similar, but like having to balance. Because I live quite far away from the office. It's like a 40-minute drive. And I just want to spend as much time as I can with him. So some days, because I work from home quite a bit, whereas Ollie doesn't.
That's hard. Like, working from home is really hard. Yeah. Sometimes you need somewhere to go to be able to focus. Whereas working from home, you have to train yourself to be able to go, right, all of this is going on downstairs. Or, I mean, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but it is for me. I've got laundry to do. I've got pots to do. I've got bottles that need washing. I've got food to prep. I've got meals to make for when Aoife and Lewis come through the door, as well as working and looking after the boys. So you have to shut off from all of that stuff the rest of your life downstairs.
It's difficult.
You have to
and go
dedicate
and
time.
focus.
To,
Although sometimes I
to
get
as
more
much
work
as you
done at
can.
home because I'm not talking to Ollie about absolute nonsense. But
It does happen a lot.
but no, it's the balance, everything. I mean, how's it? You've kind of touched on it, I know, but like, let's get to how it's been having twins and now having 3 kids and running a busy wedding boutique business. Yeah,
I think that's what I finally realised. I was like, I'm running a business single-handedly
yeah,
whilst raising twins. I mean, I have had so much help and support. My mum, I would not have got through the last year without her, and Keith, and all my girlfriends.
I love Keith.
Yeah, they're amazing. Honestly, they're amazing. And the kids think he's
I was thinking about the
so funny.
Probably shouldn't talk about this, but I was thinking about that birthday party I had where I was dressed as Super Mario the other day.
And you just put your whole face in the cake.
Yeah.
Like, I want some cake. Poof.
Yeah, that's fun.
Oh, that was brilliant.
I
Yeah,
really bonded
their
with
house.
Keith then.
Oh, was it mine? I think it was my birthday.
Yeah,
Was that my
it was,
30th?
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah, you
So
was.
many
I can't
years
remember what
ago.
you were dressed as. You was.
I was Madonna.
Madonna.
Yeah, I'd made my own little gold pointy boobed outfit with fishnet tights.
Yeah.
Lewis was
Yeah.
George Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lifelong dream.
good.
I've really
Anyway.
missed out.
Yeah.
No, you don't. We'll do it all over again. We'll do
There's
it
some
all
pictures
over again.
somewhere which probably shouldn't see the light
I've
of
seen
day.
the
Yeah,
pictures of you dressed up as.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't my best night.
No, it was brilliant. We still talk about that night. Although I don't drink anymore. Alcohol doesn't like me anymore.
Yeah.
So
That's another thing we could talk about as well, because
Yeah.
you've obviously had some health implications and complications as well. Has being at home helped that as well?
Yeah, especially like being a celiac. When I was first diagnosed with that, I'd just met Lewis and I didn't know what was wrong. I just knew that I didn't feel very well. And it was after my parents, they were going through a divorce. And so I think it was, they've called it underlying trauma. I think it was always there. Both my sisters are now celiacs as well.
Right, okay.
So I think it's a genetic thing. And I believe it's in the female line, so poor Aoife's going to cop for it. And you know that the multiple children thing runs in the female line, so she's going to get twins and be a celiac.
Yeah.
So poor kid's going to hate me when she's older. But yeah, it was that was a lot, and that was the first year that I was setting my business. Actually, I'd met Lewis, and I just got sicker and sicker and sicker. And after 18 months, I caused a bit of controversy at the GP surgery. They finally successfully diagnosed me, but by that point I was really severe. I was really sick, so I get gluten ataxia. So I get paralysis.
Right.
And it's like I've had a stroke. My speech goes, and I just literally conk out. I have to go to bed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so super severe. So I've then since then, obviously, like I avoid everything. I now can't have dairy, and that's just as brutal with me. I can't have caffeine, and alcohol's a bit. And I've got IBS too, so I'll just add the whole lot to the mix. But being at home means that I mean, I don't have as many flare-ups as I used to, or episodes I call them, because I don't trust anybody else to handle my food.
Yeah.
So we don't go out. We don't. If we go abroad, we're self-catered.
Yeah.
There's not many people I trust to make my own food.
Yeah.
And I don't. There's not a lot I can eat.
Yeah.
Right.
So a lot of people comment on the size that I am, especially post twins. But if you had to eat and live the way I have to live, it's really quite depressing. It's a wonder I try and be as funny as I am.
But I think to go about what you were saying earlier, this is another reason to be proud of yourself and to think of how well you do, because you've got all this to deal with.
There's a lot. There is a lot. Like, I am proud of myself. I think having the children makes me more proud because I've got them, because they are, they're me. That's I made them.
Yeah.
I'm raising them, and they're brilliant. But there are lots of things that I have suffered in the past with depression. I've got so many other people. I've got massive anxiety. I've got high functioning anxiety, which is why I do everything the way that I do, and I'm a control freak. I have got elements of OCD, undiagnosed, but I know they're there. A lot of that's come about from the celiac disease. Being nervous that, like, if I watched you eat a bag of Quavers and touch that door handle, I'd touch the door handle, but I would not touch anything else with this hand until I washed it.
Right.
Or I've got wet wipes in the car. Thank God for kids and wet wipes and hand sanitising gel.
Wet wipes everywhere when you've got kids. Yeah.
So good. So when I go anywhere without them, I'm like, oh my God, I've got no wet wipes. But yeah, there's all these things that I've had to learn about myself and also control. So the food thing, the germs, the gluten, and now I have to feed my children gluten. So I've had to really mentally get my head around that.
Of course, yeah.
I'm not on any meds anymore. I brought myself off them years ago because I do feel like I'm very aware of my body and very aware of my brain and my mind. And when I'm suffering and struggling, I now know when to stop and ask for help. And I think having the boys, Aoife was a COVID baby, so I had to do most things on my own, apart from when obviously I bubbled with my mum, and her and Keith were amazing. But I did everything with her on my own. It was just her and me and her against the world. So since having the boys, I've had to accept help.
Yeah.
I've had to accept that I can't do it on my own, and I have come the closest to breakdowns in my 36 and a half years of life. But I can get through it myself. It's amazing. Our brains are so powerful, the things that we can do. So really, doing everything isn't possible. And I knew that when I had them, all my girlfriends were saying, you're going to burn out, you can't do everything. And I want to do everything. And I can do everything.
Yeah.
I'm proof of it. And I have been doing it all. But it got to a point a few months ago where I was like, and there was a bit of an intervention, and I couldn't do it all. I think it's the sleep deprivation. If I say to everybody every day, if I slept, I'd be a much nicer person. I'd be a much nicer mummy. I think we all would. But until only twin parents understand that it's a different world.
Yeah.
There is literally like no sleep. Like I went to bed at 7 a.m. this morning for an hour because we were up all night with Otis and his awful poorly tummy, bless him. The boys are constantly on antibiotics for something. For 9 weeks, they were both on different forms of antibiotics for ear infections, throat infections, chest infections.
Bless.
Because of the time of year it is, and because they were prem and they're little. And until you go through that, I think as a couple as well, and then I'm trying to work and see my brides on top of that, they have been amazing. They've been so patient. So that award goes to them, not to me, because they're all sat waiting to hear back from me. And I'm even more rubbish with communication these days because I'm so busy looking after the boys. But there came a point where I still haven't. I've had one night's sleep in a year, and that was thanks to my mum. She had to take Otis, and I had to let her take him.
Yeah.
And he's a boo baby. Jack's formula, but Otis is boo baby. So I got my milks out the freezer because I pumped for him, and I let him go. So I am starting to learn that I can't do it all, and I have to let things go. He's fine, and he slept.
Yeah.
The little bugger slept. He slept, and I slept. I had 9 hours sleep that night.
Yeah.
So
That sounds
I bet it felt amazing.
I've had an out of body experience when you're sleep deprived, because I feel like it now, and it'll be worse in a few hours' time. You feel drunk and hungover at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's been a very long time since I felt either of those. Like, I think I got to the age of 24, and I was like, oh, I can't really handle this anymore. And then obviously before I got sick, but yeah, it's just the worst feeling, and you get pushed as a parent anyway, but when there's multiple babies at once, you get pushed to a point of your patience and getting so worn thin that you lose your temper and you have no control anymore. And for a control freak, that's really hard to accept. But I'm getting my brides booked back in. So I've got all my brides for next year. I've started their dresses. I don't know when. And people say to me, when are you doing this? How are you doing
At
this?
some point.
I don't know when, but I'm doing it. And as long as I have the right balance of absorbing the children and making sure I'm present with them, because I do have regrets. I do wish that I'd been okay with having twins, because I wasn't okay. I wasn't okay with it all.
It's a big thing. To find out that you're pregnant, first of all, is a big thing.
Yeah.
And to find out you're in twins, I imagine, is huge.
And then I was adamant they were girls because Eve told me they were girls.
Yeah.
To find out then they were boys, I really struggled until they were born to process that. And I had a really difficult pregnancy. with their motor stop growing at 28 weeks. So I was monitored like twice weekly after that. So once they were born, I didn't process that I'd had 2 babies. In my head, I was like, right, I have 2 babies to look after. I have these 2 babies that need this, this, and this. It was that they weren't my boys until a few months in. So I didn't do skin-to-skin contact. I didn't do loads of things that you do with your first that you kind of process as a couple and you enjoy together. Whereas now I'm trying to backtrack on. So last night, I got in the bath with all 3 of my kids. No. All of us in the nudie. No one peed in the bath. It was great. And I
what a result.
It was lovely. And Lewis took photos for me to look back on. And I just want to make sure that I'm present for my brides and I'm there for them. Because as soon as I go upstairs, I'm Stephanie Kate. And I don't forget what's going on downstairs, and I can hear, if somebody's awake. Generally, Lewis, I do evening appointments, and we get 2 out of 3 of the kids to sleep, and Lewis can cope with the last one. But as soon as I'm up there and the door's shut, I'm like a whole different person. And I'm so lucky to be able to do that. I was saying to Alex earlier, I don't know what it must be like for the girls to go back after a maternity leave, because I don't really get anything like that.
Get that.
I mean, I call it mat leave because I have not been working like obviously that I have before. In fact, nothing like I had before.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've never thought about it from a female perspective about having the time off, because obviously when our children were born, we, I kind of said, I can have 2 weeks off. I can kind of afford to have 2 weeks off. Luckily, it was Christmas, so it was pretty quiet anyway. So I ended up having maybe a month off total. But if you were self-employed as a woman, and if your partner was working as well, and obviously men generally get like one 2 months off at most.
Well, it depends. I mean, Lewis he uses holiday days.
Oh, right, cool.
Statutory paternity wouldn't have paid our bills.
Right,
so,
but this is what I mean. Like, there must have been so much pressure on you to actually start working again. Because brides' wedding dates were booked way before I was even pregnant, and I'd made commitments and promises to them, and so I did have to turn people down this year, which I hated doing. And I do want next year. I have already got a lot of work for next year, but I also want next year to be a much slower year for me. Yeah. Aoife starts school next September. And as soon as they start school, that's it. You're controlled by the school run for the next 15 years of my life. And the boys are going to be walking. So I want to make sure that this next year really counts with them. But I can't remember what the question was, because I was on like a million just talk about like maternity.
Tangents. Yeah, maternity.
Is there any like incentives from the government for it, or is it you literally just left to your own devices?
And if you've not paid enough into your national insurance, you have to pay into it to be able to get your maternity allowance. Oh, right, okay. So you have to then obviously you have to stop work. So I had to stop working to be able to get my maternity allowance, to be able to pay for the kids. Right. So and then obviously all the payments from brides then it goes into obviously next year's income. So doing my accounts is so easy this year. It was the fastest I've ever done them because I wasn't working properly. But so obviously there were people that either came in whilst I was pregnant and I was able to sort them before the boys were born. But growing one human being, let alone 2, I was still working whilst I was pregnant, and we were amending the house and we had loads of problems there. I won't go into that because that was a really emotional, difficult stage in my life. We're still trying to sort out paperwork and stuff for that. So that's something that Lewis I've really struggled with. So my pregnancy wasn't smooth sailing, but I was still working. And actually, I think if it wasn't for my brides during that time, I wouldn't be as I am not sane. I am completely insane. In fact, my friend messaged me about a quote about insanity. I wouldn't be as sane as I am now if it wasn't for them. They're all they're awesome.
They are your family.
They are my family.
Yeah. It's I think the only way I can relate to it is, we meet customers and we've made some of our clients have probably become our friends. I'm confident saying. So it must be like that, but because it's quite a personal, intimate thing that you're doing.
They have
for
to
them.
take their clothes off.
You
come into my house, you get naked.
We've not had to do that with any of our clients. So
it's lovely. And learning about everyone's insecurities, especially when people see me and they think, oh, she's tall and slim, until they learn about why I look the way I look. People judge. We're the first ones to be so judgmental on ourselves. And when it comes to their wedding dresses, I've always had a massive thing about, I will make the dress fit you, not the other way around. At a wedding fair, not so long ago, I was put next to a woman who was selling weight loss pills. I was furious. And she could hear me. I think my speech to potential customers got louder and louder and
weight
louder
loss
and louder.
pills at a wedding fair?
I think you guys were at that one.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And
I was right next to her. And I don't think she's ever been there since, but I believe that we, especially as women, we are the way we are. But I don't like that women want to change themselves, especially for their wedding day.
Yeah,
getting married.
Social media, that's the problem. It is.
We should love our bodies the way we do, the way that we look. So, and I have my problems with that as well, because I'm very critical of the way I look, and I call these my knockers.
Right.
I mean, I do have boobs currently because of the boys, but I'm normally flat-chested, so these are always my knockers. But as Otis will tell you, when he's trying to get snuggled on me at night to go to sleep, I am not the most comfortable person to have a snooze on because of them. But other people would kill for this, and I get that, but I try and make my brides appreciate their curves. I love curves. Someone comes in and they've got boobs and hips and a bum. It's just heavenly. It's heavenly. And I want them to realise how heavenly they are and how beautiful they are. And like curvy legs, you can't have anything more sexy than curvy legs. And back confidence. I think that's really underestimated. So when I have brides in, and every single woman has something about themselves that they don't like, and I'll talk to them about it. I'll generally ask, like most of them, especially the bespoke girls, because we make the dress to amend that, to make them feel the most secure they've ever felt, and to be proud of their bodies. And if it means covering their arms because they don't like their arms, they're going to feel more confident. So that's what I'll do.
No, it's such an empowering thing to do, isn't it? Like getting them into something that makes them feel the best they're ever going to feel, because everyone should feel like the best they're going to feel on the wedding day, shouldn't they?
Especially on the wedding day. And it goes so
having
fast.
photographed and filmed a few weddings, it's really interesting to see the change in personality when they put the dress on and they've got their hair and makeup done. And it's really.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
See us change.
Yeah.
Do you see it? I don't know if the girls with that me. Do you see this? Like you wake up next to your other halves and we're like, our hair's everywhere and we're cranky and tired and there's saliva and our breath smell, and then suddenly we have makeup on and clothes and we're like, morning. You're like, I'm sorry, who are you? I didn't wake up next to you. Completely different version, but it does make a difference. It does make a difference. I remember my sister saying to my elder sister, she said, she'd come up to see us and she was like, oh honey, you've got makeup on. I said, oh, I put makeup on every day. And she was like, oh, you don't have to do that for me. And I do it for me. Because if I don't have mascara on or eyeshadow on, if I catch a mirror, I feel horrendous. So sometimes it is just to make yourself feel better. But we say to Aoife now, makeup is to make you feel fancy. You don't need makeup to look pretty. It's just to make you feel fancy. So every day she goes, Mum, what are you doing? She's obsessed with it now. She's a little makeup brush. And I go, Mummy's just going to look a bit fancy today. So, and she always says, oh, Mummy, you look so beautiful today. Your makeup looks so lovely. She's got a little lisp.
So cute.
I mean, I hope she grows out of a lisp, but also it's adorable.
But it's just like when you like when I dress nice, I feel better.
You feel better.
And I feel like a slob if I'm just in my like trackies and that sat at home.
There's a time for it when you put
fresh haircut as well. Helps.
So I get it's that similar.
Changes
feeling.
Your whole mindset. The whole day can change. Even if you're sleep deprived and have had an hour's sleep. People tell me that I don't look like that I've had an hour's sleep.
I cannot tell that you've only had an hour.
hour's sleep. And then Lewis had an hour, bless him. He had to go in late for work again.
What's Lewis like after an hour's sleep?
Lewis is always fantastic. I don't give him enough credit. I don't praise him enough.
Lewis.
I'm a horrible type. He gets the person you're with or the person you're married to gets the worst version of you. They do. But because and it's same with our children, like they are lovely for everybody else. As soon as they're home with you, they're little arseholes. And it's because we're the safe space. And it is the same for your partner. And Lewis is so patient with me, and I can be so horrible. And some people are like, no, you're always happy. no, I can be really horrible. And he's so patient. And even after like an hour's sleep, he will go into work today and, you know, people will be pissed off at him because this is, you know, since the boys have been born, it's been really tough. And I don't think people quite realise how tough it's been. But he will go in there with a smile on his face today and he will go in and do his job to the best of his ability. And then he'll come home to me later, who has still not had any more sleep. And the boys will be, you know, Aoife will be back, the boys will be back, I'll be trying to cook tea. And he'll come home to this crazy, intense, chaotic house and he'll just be lovely, happy, wonderful Lewis again and try and do everything that he can do to make my life that little bit easier. So yeah, he is finding that like life really hard, but also we wouldn't change it. Yeah, we wouldn't change it for the world. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to be Stephanie Kate. I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And like he is the money behind our life. Yeah,
and like I mean, it's the same. I feel like I'm talking about trying to like relay like a lot of the things you're talking about, but it is the same in it because our partners are super supportive of us, and I think that goes a long way for self-employment.
You have to be, you have to be when you're self-employed. Again, people that are self-employed are the only ones that understand what it's like. I've had people say to me, "Oh, well, it must be really nice for you because you're self-employed, so you can just do what you want when you want." Like, wow, no, you have no idea. You have no idea.
To make sure we're making money and like,
I would love to be able to do like 9 till 5 of purely sewing. But then when I'm able to do that, when the boys go into childcare in January, I'm really going to struggle with that. So I will have the hours to work and it'll mean being away from them. And I'm already struggling with accepting that and letting that go. And also looking forward to having that time to get up there and just get completely engrossed in my girls' dresses. And seeing them and, you know, being distracted and helping them, you know, with their wedding arrangements. But, again, like I can go off on a million tangents.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I want to do like 2 quick fire questions for you.
Okay.
So first one is best dress you've ever made.
Someone else asked me that this year. I can't pick one. I can pinpoint little things about them, like this year has been like, obviously I've not been able to work properly, but brides' dresses that I started last year, before I found out I was pregnant with the boys, I then had to like work intensely on, so that they were ready for this year, for the girls to get married this year. So this year, for example, I could pinpoint one of the girls, Emma, had the longest train I've ever made. And it's immense. It's amazing. Oh my God, I didn't actually measure it. Okay, Emma, we need to measure your train. But I know it was the longest one I've ever made. Kerry's was the most. You guys were there. You were the photographers. Kerry and James. Kerry's dress had the most man hours.
Right.
Really?
That I've ever spent on a wedding dress and a veil.
Hours.
Woman hours, woman hours. Do you know what? I got in trouble again, completely off tangent. I got in trouble when I was a child. I went to Catholic school and I didn't understand. I mean, I should have been a feminist, but that our men, I was like, why aren't we saying our women? So I then would say, in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, our women. And obviously I did get sat down and explained that that's not how it goes. But yeah, woman power, not man power, man hours, woman hours behind that dress. And it was amazing, and I loved it. And Ellen had the shortest dress, mini dress, underneath her beautiful satin skirt. So she's had the shortest. So there's things about every single one that I've absolutely loved. And I've never made a dress that I've not loved.
That's good.
I think because I'm involved in it.
Yeah.
I ask them what they want, and I make them what they want. And it evolves over the time that we have together. I will throw ideas into the mix. I'm probably quite bad for that, and they'll either go no, I love it as it is, or they'll go pockets what, or I'll go let's do a detachable it's like especially if it's A-line, I'm like, okay, we are putting pockets in it, right? And everyone says yes, but there are so many things and ideas that I will throw into the mix and we'll then run with it. So by the end of it, either the bride is wearing the pencil drawing that we started with a year ago, or we look back and see how much it's changed and evolved over that time.
That's cool.
And until they're standing in it, sometimes you don't know what you like or what suits you or how you feel. So if they know they want sleeves, I'll get the dress to a point where they're not sure if they want cap sleeves, mid sleeves, long sleeves, you know, detachable sleeves, little bits of netting sleeves, little boho sleeves, little lace sleeves, little satin sleeves, whatever sleeves.
So many
I didn't
choices.
know there was that many
sleeves.
Wow.
We'll get to that point.
I
where
thought these were the only kind of
just
sleeves you get. So.
Oh, there are so many. It's when you go through all the different types of white. Like, what colour wedding dress would you like?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much, but
Well, that's good.
I try and make sure that every bride has every possibility.
Good. That's a really good answer.
Every possibility.
So second one was, and you'd have to know many names, like biggest like demand or like strangest demand that you've had to like cater to. You're allowed to say my wife because you had to make a dress twice.
Laura. It's actually the third one. I mean, we made
Was
Laura's was third time a charm. I can't even talk. I'm that tired. But even that, like, that wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
It has to be perfect. And I get the vibes. I know if a bride has left me and there's something that's niggling them. And so I will always say, are you happy? Is there anything you're not sure about? And they'll go, no, yeah, it's fine. Or I'll say to them, be confident to say it. It's not criticism. It's a step towards perfection. So if something's not sitting the way you want it to, or if you've got a question, there's no wrong question when it comes to making their dresses. So then generally when they go away, I'll know. So every time Laura went, and I knew, I was like, or even sometimes they don't know.
You know her as well. You know
yeah, and
well,
because I know her as well, and I get to know these girls on such a personal level, and they get to know me. Like, they see my entire life. They work around me now. So they get to know me on a personal level, so that they feel more confident to say, actually, Steph, I'm not sure how this is supposed to hang this way, or what's this going to be like once this is stitched on, or actually, I did want that and now I don't. I just make sure that they have that possibility at all times. I can't think I've ever had like the weirdest or the strangest request. I'll have to have a think about that. I've made a lot of dresses. I should have added up how many dresses I've done. Like, I know dresses I've altered. They're in
hundreds. Right?
Yeah, hundreds of dresses. But yeah, each one special.
Each one's their own
each one I
challenges
remember.
and
each one I remember.
Okay, cool.
So I've never made the same dress twice. That's one thing I'll never do.
No.
Yeah, never made the same dress twice.
What we're going to start doing is we're going to start getting guests to ask a question for the next guest.
Love that.
So, like, what kind of question would you ask the next guest? Like business or personal?
Let me have a think.
Putting you on the spot a bit, sorry.
No, do you know what? I have got a question. And it's one that I say to myself on occasions. I've never given myself a full answer, but where you are at now, in fact, this goes for you guys, where you are at now, the time of your lives, the age that you're at, the age of your children, if you've got them, your partners, your careers, if you could go back and tell 15-year-old Alex.
Yeah.
Maybe not that young. Okay. No, maybe.
Maybe.
Like that version of yourself,
yeah.
where you would be and how you would feel. Everyone changes and matures a lot when you hit your 30s. It was my big sister. She's got so many words of wisdom. She's got me through a lot of things. She introduced me to yoga. Big up Lizzie. She said when I turned 30, and I was like, it didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. Was not okay with turning 30. And she said, the 30s are the best years of your life. And she was right. Not just because of the things that happen, but because you become content. You accept what's been. You learn so much more about yourself. And you're okay with that. Like, you start accepting yourself and putting yourself first and not having to make excuses. If you don't want to do something, you don't want to do it. You don't have to give a reason. And I think if you could go back and tell, like if I could go back and tell 16-year-old Steph what 36-year-old Steph would be doing, she wouldn't believe me. But then if you'd said to me 2 years ago that I'd be sat here with 9-month-old twin boys, a crazy 4-year-old daughter, still doing what I'm doing, I'd have said, no chance in hell.
So would the question be...
if you could go back.
Yeah.
If you could go and talk to your 16-year-old self, what would you tell them?
I like that.
What would you tell them?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and I want you to think of that answer as well.
Oh, I know the answer.
You know the answer? Can we know the answer?
Yeah, work harder.
Do you know what? I do wish I'd worked harder.
Yeah. For me, it's more because I didn't do any work. But a lot of it is because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was only as I approached my 30s, like you say. And I agree with you, 30s so far are really good. Just not physically. My body's pretty broken, but I've got like the knees of a 50-year-old, so
yeah.
I'm starting to get the shoulders of a 50-year-old as well. They're not really working
Oh
much
no,
anymore. But,
no. See, I'm the strongest I've ever been. Like today. I mean, my back's been ruined since having the boys, but I could go and lift that. I could go and lift my van.
That's a good excuse, though.
I might be little,
Mine's
but I am so strong. Like
Mine's 'cause I've
mentally,
looked after
physically,
myself.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just have to kind of cut yourself a bit slack. Your life is going to evolve.
Yeah.
And also something I tell my brides, and I tell myself all the time, I should listen to myself more because there is a lot of wisdom normally up there. That you're never going to be as young as you are right now. Like my boys are never going to be as young as they are right now. So hold them a little tighter, squeeze them a little longer.
Of every moment.
Yeah. And our bodies in relation to the pain, the aches and pains. Like our 40s are fast approaching. Mine. Sorry, guys. My 40s are fast approaching. So I need to just savour the pains that I have now. I have osteopenia, so it's going to trip into osteoporosis probably in the next 10 years. And I'm bound to get diabetes because sugar's the only thing I can actually have. So we just have to accept how we are now and appreciate it and just stop and try and be as present as possible. That's my biggest thing right now is just try and be present, savour it because nothing lasts.
Yeah,
that's always good advice, and it's a great way to end the podcast.
Thanks for having
this
me.
is like a bit of a new format for us, new setup and slightly new name, and it kind of feels appropriate that you're our first guest, seeing as you're the first video we probably did. So yeah, thank you for coming on.
I'll be cringing watching me back, but
no,
thank you.
Yeah.
There's so much. There's so much that we could talk about. There's so many things.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's always the case.
And with every person you meet, and that's what I think you then love. This what something I get from it, and you already do when you meet all your brides. You learn something from each person that you meet.
Yeah.
And I then take that away and then tell somebody else, and then they tell somebody else and tell somebody else. So it's like a lovely little ripple effect of positivity and happiness.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for my cup of tea. I'm used to cold tea.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.